Okay, we're going to talk now about mutations and how mutations are involved in the natural selection process. So let's take a look again at our slideshow. Next slide. Okay, so a mutation is a really, really important part of the process because mutations lead to variation within the population. And variations lead to new adaptations. So let's just break it down a little bit. Mutations are changes in a gene that lead to variations within a population. It's important to understand that we use the word mutation in everyday language as sort of like mutation's a bad thing, right? Think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. When in reality, mutations are good sometimes, they can be bad sometimes, or they could be neutral sometimes. So a neutral variation would be like we have chocolate labs, black labs, yellow labs, right? It's a neutral variation within the lab population. All right, so these are changes in a gene that lead to some kind of variation within a population. So in this picture, you can see that we have some different colored moths. And there is a natural variation within the moth population. Some of the moths are speckly, we call it the peppered moth, and some every now and then are born black. That is just a natural variation within the moth population for this particular species. So the variations within a population that are advantageous can be selected for by the environment, remember, and become more prevalent within a population. So in this example where the tree bark is very similar to this moth, then the moth is able to camouflage very well, and more of the moths in the population will have the peppered moth patterning, because that is an advantageous trait within the population. This is an adaptation. One type of adaptation is camouflage. So this variation within the population allows the moth to camouflage within the trees. During the Industrial Revolution, there was a lot of soot and smoke that killed off the lichen on the trees, and suddenly a lot of the trees were really dark, like in this picture. And so suddenly our dark moths were actually more well suited to the new changes in the environment, and the peppered moths were easily seen by predators and therefore were picked off by the birds that were flying around. And the black moth variation became more prevalent within the population. So this is a really sort of classic example of evolution by natural selection taking place in real time. We could see that the population, if you can see all four of the moths, there's one there, there's one there, the population of moths that started off, more moths were peppered and well camouflaged, turned into a population where more moths were black and well camouflaged. Okay, so answer the questions about mutations, variation, and adaptation.